Hey guys, I hope you are doing well. This is almost the end of our time together online. We have one more week after this. Our goal this week is to be working on planning our paper, and then next week's goal is going to be writing the paper. So if you get through the plan and you have energy left to spend on this class and you want to get going, we can talk through your plan, make sure it's solid, and then you can start writing your paper. And as soon as your paper is done, you are finished with all the work for this course. So you're very close to being done. On the screen right now, you see a slide from a PowerPoint that I shared with you a couple weeks ago when we first started talking about the 5 different prompts. This is on Echo, so you can look through all of the different prompts again. We're going to talk about how to make your thesis statements. Above this are a whole bunch of different examples of thesis statements from the Kite Runner that follow each of the other prompts. So you can go back through and look at this PowerPoint in its entirety if you are interested. The thesis statement is where you start the paper. It's basically the argument that you are going to be proving to be true about your book. In this statement, you should include the author of the book and the title, and it should be the very first thing you write because it's really your game plan. As you write, it may change, especially if you are the type to kind of think as you write. So when you finish the paper, you want to reread your thesis statement and make sure that you proved everything you said you were going to prove. And if you changed your mind at all, you rework your thesis to match that. Sometimes people have a thesis statement that has a lot that they're going to prove, and then they end up not needing as much because they explain it really well, and so they have to edit things out of their thesis statement that they don't prove. And so this might be you if you have a really big thesis statement that's going to prove a lot of things, and then you find, oh, I only got to 2 of those points, not all 4 of them. You can just take out some of the points that you didn't get to. Your thesis statement, just like in any other essay, is generally going to come at the end of the introductory paragraph. And when you're making your thesis statement, you want to value the author's intent. So you're telling us, what do you think the author was trying to show us? What were their intentions with writing this book? What does it show us about humans, their motivations, society, life in general? Are there critiques that the author is trying to make? Do they lead you to root for one character over another? Depending on what prompt you're going for, and on that prompt sheet, there's a bunch of questions you could answer. Your answers to those questions could be your actual thesis statement. And then eventually in your paper, you'll address the so what question. And generally, you'll do this kind of in the conclusion. So what does this all, why did the author write this? What is the whole point? Why does it matter? To support your thesis statement, you're going to need to offer at least 3 categories of proof. And these 3 categories of proof are going to be body paragraphs. And sometimes a category might take more than 1 body paragraph to go through. And so that's fine. In a thesis like in The Kite Runner, Khaled Hosseini uses the refugee crisis to emphasize the unfair differences between the social classes in modern Afghanistan. I need to prove that he shows there are unfair differences between the social classes. And so if I was writing that paper, I might even start with a plan for 5 different categories of proof. Amir and Baba as the higher rung of the social order, how they're treated, I would have a whole chunk on them. And then I might have a chunk on Hassan and Ali as Hazaras, how they're treated much, much differently. And then I might include a chunk about General Tahiri, who was high up in Afghanistan. I might also include Asif, and I might also include Rahim Khan. Now, that's a lot of categories. It's good to start out with more, not more than 5, but more than 3, just so if you feel like you're losing steam, the more categories you add on, the better to prove. And if I were writing this, I need at least 4 pages for this paper. If I'm writing it and I get to, General Tahiri and I'm already at the end of page 3, I might decide to kind of wrap it up and eliminate 4 and 5 from my my paper. Your paper needs to include an introduction, the book title and the author, a paragraph that is a short summary, so no more than one paragraph, and you want to focus simply on the pieces of the plot that pertain to your paper. So if you're writing about The Great Gatsby and you're writing about Daisy and Gatsby's relationship, in your summary, you don't need to tell us what happened with Nick and Jordan and Tom and everybody else. You just need to talk about the sequence of the plot as it related to Daisy and Gatsby together. And then you'll have your thesis, your body, and your conclusion. Within each body chunk, you're going to include examples from the text, and you could write them as direct quotations. You'll want to have the page number to cite. You could include summaries of things that happened, paraphrasing of what was said. You can include other critics' opinions, and you can include the historical and social context. When you are working, you will have a template that I have for you on Google Docs, and this is basically like an outline that has all of those elements that I told you your paper needs to include. They're all just spelled out for you here. Now don't write like a whole actual like paragraph in here. This is just, you know, I might put a bullet and I would put this quote, blah, 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 quote, page 46. So I know that whatever my claim is up here, I'm going to prove it with some of this evidence. And this should help us as we look at your plan together to make sure that you have body paragraphs that make sense in terms of if they prove your thesis statement or not. And so that is the main goal for this week, is finishing the remaining quotes to get you to 10 quotes and filling out this outline. And like I said, if you still have steam left in the tank after doing that and you know you've got a good plan, get started on your draft and get done with this. I have info in your email and on Echo about how to contact me this week, so let me know how I can help. I hope to hear from a lot of you. Bye.